Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be going beyond the model minority myth,
Okay.
and we're going to explore some educational journeys of successful Cambodian American college students.
Sounds good.
We've got a really fascinating thesis here that we're going to be looking at,
Okay.
and paired with some thought-provoking articles.
Yeah.
So are you ready to unpack this?
Absolutely. I think you'll find this deep dive particularly interesting because while it focuses on academic success,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of reveals this lasting impact of the Khmer Rouge War
Wow.
on these families.
Okay.
And it adds like these layers of complexity to
Wow.
their stories.
Okay, so this thesis focuses on first-generation Cambodian Americans.
Right.
What's one of the first things that struck you about these student stories?
Well, it's fascinating how so many of these students actually had aspirations for college at a really young age.
Oh, wow.
I mean, even as early as elementary school.
Really?
It really speaks to this deep-seated drive for education.
Yeah. I was struck by that, too. We see this with Chea, who moved to Utah at age 12.
Mm.
And he talks about how his teachers really emphasized that college was the path to specific careers.
Right.
And that just really sparked something in him.
Yeah, Che's story is a great example of how influential educators can be.
Yeah.
But for some students, like Samrin,
Hmm.
who grew up in a family of professionals,
Right.
college was less of a decision and more of just an expectation.
An inevitable next step. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like breathing. His parents were both highly educated professionals back in Cambodia.
Exactly.
So it was just assumed that he would follow a similar path.
Right, and then there are students like Samphi,
Okay.
who saw his older sister kind of navigate that college prep process.
Mhm.
He knew community college was likely his starting point just because of finances.
Oh.
But even then, that desire for higher education was already there.
So it got this common thread of early aspirations for college, but I'm guessing things weren't always easy sailing from there.
Exactly. College life brought a whole new set of challenges.
Okay.
Many students mentioned these cultural differences and how their parents, who often had limited formal education and were dealing with the trauma of the Khmer Rouge War,
Right.
couldn't provide the academic support that they needed.
Yeah, that disconnect must have been incredibly difficult to navigate.
Oh, absolutely. Take Samphi, for instance.
Okay.
He went to a predominantly white, affluent university
Mm-hmm.
and felt completely out of place.
Wow.
His classmates would casually discuss cars and trips that their parents funded,
Right.
while his parents were working tirelessly just to make ends meet.
It challenges that traditional American dream narrative, doesn't it?
It does.
Where parents are actively involved in their children's college experience, offering both financial and emotional support.
It does. But it's inspiring to see how these students sought support from other sources.
Yeah.
Teachers, mentors, siblings, and friends
Right.
all stepped in to help them navigate these complex situations.
The thesis actually highlights this, right? It does.
The importance of these support systems.
Yeah, the thesis explores this in detail.
Okay.
For example, Mona had this retired high school teacher who went above and beyond for his students.
Wow.
He even purchased a van
Really?
to take them to debate competitions.
Wow. Talk about a dedicated mentor.
I know.
That kind of support can be life-changing.
Absolutely.
And even though that parental academic support may have been absent in some cases, the thesis also uncovered this profound sense of familial obligation.
That's right. These students weren't just striving for personal success. They were driven by this desire to uplift their families
Yeah.
and to give back after witnessing their parents' struggles.
For instance, Tavi wanted to retire her parents
Right.
and express her gratitude for their sacrifices.
Right.
And she decided to study nursing specifically so she could care for her ailing father.
Wow.
There's this deep sense of responsibility that's woven into their aspirations.
Absolutely. And while Tavi's story highlights that weight of familial obligation,
Yeah. Mona's experience reminds us about the simple power of fostering a love for learning.
Oh, okay.
Her mother encouraged reading by rewarding her with trips to In-Out Burger.
Really?
It might seem like a small gesture,
Right.
but it ultimately led Mona to pursue a career in journalism.
It's a great reminder that nurturing a child's love for learning doesn't always require grand gestures or advanced degrees.
Exactly. And it's important to note that the thesis challenges some common misconceptions about Cambodian American families.
Okay.
Most of the parents in this study held jobs outside of the stereotypical Cambodian-owned donut shop industry.
That's an important point. It suggests a higher level of achievement
Mhm.
and socioeconomic diversity than is often represented.
It does, and it underscores the need to move beyond simplistic narratives when discussing any cultural group.
Right.
There's always more nuance than meets the eye.
So let's dive into that nuance a bit more. What were some of the other key themes that emerged from the research?
One prominent theme was the American dream
Okay.
and how these students internalized it.
They hold this unwavering belief in hard work and determination as the keys to success.
They embody that classic pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality.
Yes. But it's crucial to acknowledge that their stories reveal this complex interplay of individual effort and systemic factors.
Right.
Shea, for example,
Yeah.
firmly believes that his accomplishments are solely due to his hard work,
Okay.
not his ethnicity. He even said that it, quote, didn't really matter
Wow.
if he was Cambodian, Mexican, or black.
Mm-hmm.
Success was about personal drive.
But does his experience in Utah, a predominantly white state, play a role in shaping that perspective?
It's a valid question.
Yeah.
And the research does delve into how geography and environment impact these students' journeys, sometimes in unexpected ways.
I'm really interested in unpacking that further. How does the research tackle the impact of geography and access to resources?
Well, it highlights the distinct experiences of students attending schools in different socioeconomic environments,
Okay.
even within the same city.
Take Lakewood High School, for example.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
This school drew students from a wide range of backgrounds, right?
Exactly. Some from affluent areas, some from more working class communities.
Okay.
Samphy, who commuted to Lakewood from Long Beach, talked about the challenges of that daily journey.
Right.
But he also recognized that attending a more diverse school like Lakewood provided him with a richer and more stimulating environment.
It's fascinating how these students navigate these different worlds.
Yeah.
Often having to weigh the challenges of commutes and financial constraints against the potential benefits of a more diverse or academically rigorous learning environment.
It speaks to their resourcefulness and their determination to make the most of their educational opportunities.
And it underscores the need to recognize that the American dream narrative doesn't always play out on a level playing field.
Exactly. Some students are starting the race with a significant head start, while others are facing hurdles right from the starting line.
And it's important to acknowledge that those hurdles aren't always visible or readily understood by those who haven't experienced them firsthand.
Absolutely. That's why these stories are so valuable.
Yeah.
They offer us a glimpse into the lived realities of students who are often overlooked or misunderstood.
And they challenge us to question our own assumptions and biases and to work towards creating a more equitable education system where every student has the opportunity to thrive.
That's a powerful takeaway. Really makes you think about those assumptions about the American dream, right?
Yeah.
These students are achieving academically, but they're also grappling with so much more. It highlights the limitations of just using those academic metrics to define success.
It does. It makes me think about how we can better support Cambodian American students so they can thrive, not just academically, but emotionally and socially. What kind of support do they need to truly reach their full potential?
Well, recognizing the diversity within the Asian American community is so crucial.
Yeah.
The model minority myth just kind of lumps everyone together.
Right.
And it ignores the unique struggles of specific groups like Cambodian Americans.
Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah.
What are some of those overlooked challenges that are specific to Cambodian Americans?
Well, the research touches on how the trauma of the Khmer Rouge War continues to ripple through these families even decades later.
Wow.
Many parents are dealing with undiagnosed PTSD.
Okay.
And this leads to, difficulties in providing the kind of support their children need.
It's a reminder that trauma doesn't just disappear.
No,
It can have lasting effects that span generations.
precisely. And the research also highlights the immense responsibility that many of these students feel toward their families.
Okay.
They're often juggling multiple roles,
Mhm.
student caregiver breadwinner,
Right.
all while still trying to navigate the complexities of college life.
It's like they're carrying the weight of their family's past on their shoulders while simultaneously trying to build a brighter future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where those robust support systems we discussed earlier
Yeah.
become even more crucial. Mentors, teachers, siblings, friends,
Right.
they all play a vital role in helping these students navigate these multifaceted challenges.
It's a powerful reminder that we don't have to go it alone. We all need support, especially when facing adversity.
Absolutely. And if you're in a position to offer support even in small ways, remember that those gestures can have a profound impact.
Yeah.
A listening ear, a word of encouragement, helping a classmate connect with resources, these can all make a difference.
It's about building a sense of community and recognizing that we're all interconnected.
Exactly. And on a broader scale, it's about advocating for systemic changes that address the root causes of these disparities. We need to invest in communities that have been historically marginalized
Yeah.
and ensure equitable access to quality education regardless of zip code.
Because as we've seen, where you live can have a significant impact on your opportunities.
It does, and it's something that the students in this research are acutely aware of.
Right? It's like they have this innate understanding of how geography shapes our lives, having experienced those disparities firsthand.
That's a great way to put it. Che, the student who moved to Utah, noticed a stark difference in the resources available to his white friends from affluent families compared to his Cambodian American friends from similar socioeconomic backgrounds.
His story, though, is interesting because he still firmly believes in the power of individual effort to overcome these obstacles.
And he's not alone. Many of these students maintain that unwavering belief in the American dream, that if you work hard enough, you can achieve success regardless of your background or where you come from.
It's incredibly inspiring, but also raises some complex questions. How do we reconcile that belief in individual effort with the reality that the playing field isn't always level?
That's where it becomes crucial to look beyond individual stories and consider the systemic factors at play. We need to create a system where everyone has a fair shot regardless of their zip code or their family history.
So it's about individual effort, but also about creating a society that supports that effort and provides opportunities for everyone to thrive.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that success is not solely a product of individual grit, but also a reflection of access, resources, and opportunities.
This brings us back to the model minority myth and how it can be harmful.
It's harmful because it creates this false narrative of universal success within a particular racial group, and it masks the struggles of those who don't fit that idealized image.
And as we've seen with these Cambodian American students, those struggles are real.
Yes.
And often deeply rooted in historical trauma and systemic inequity.
That's a crucial point. And it highlights the importance of moving beyond those simplistic labels and engaging with the individual stories and lived experiences within those communities.
Because each story offers valuable insights and challenges us to think more critically about how we define success and how we can work toward a more just and equitable society for everyone.
I completely agree. And these conversations are so important because they help us to dismantle those harmful stereotypes and create space for more nuanced and authentic understandings of different cultures and communities.
Speaking of nuance, there's another aspect of these student stories that I found fascinating. It's how they view the American dream itself.
Oh, that's right. There were some interesting observations about how these students define the American dream and what it means to them.
Yes, it wasn't just about individual success, it was also about community and giving back.
Many of them spoke about wanting to use their education to uplift their communities and address social issues. They had this deep sense of social responsibility.
Like Tavi, who wanted to go into healthcare to help her community. And Samphi, who was passionate about social justice and wanted to use his law degree to advocate for marginalized communities.
Exactly. It challenges the often individualistic narrative associated with the American dream. For these students, success was not just about personal gain, but about collective well-being.
And it ties back to that strong sense of familial obligation we discussed earlier.
Yes.
They see their success as intertwined with the well-being of their families and their communities.
It's a beautiful and powerful perspective, and it speaks to the richness and complexity of their cultural heritage.
It's a reminder that there are many ways to define the American dream.
Yeah.
And that these definitions are often shaped by personal experiences, cultural values, and a deep sense of social responsibility.
And it's a reminder that we can all learn from these diverse perspectives and challenge ourselves to think more critically about what it means to strive for a better future, both for ourselves and for our communities.
I think that's a great point to pause on for a moment. Before we delve further into the lasting impact of the Khmer Rouge War, which is another significant theme that emerged from this research.
Okay.
Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed so far. What are some of the key takeaways that stand out for you?
Yeah, it's been a fascinating discussion so far. You know, we've explored the complexities of the American dream, the importance of support systems, and the need to move beyond simplistic labels like that model minority myth.
Right.
But there's this other layer I think we need to unpack here, and that's the lasting impact of the Khmer Rouge War on these families and how that trauma kind of ripples through generations. Yeah, it's a heavy but crucial aspect of their stories.
Hmm.
It's a reminder that trauma doesn't have like an expiration date.
Right.
Its effects can linger for decades, shaping the lives of individuals, families, and even entire communities.
You're right. It's like a stone dropped in a pond. The ripples keep spreading outward long after the stone has sunk to the bottom.
Yeah.
And for many of these students, that trauma manifests in the challenges that they face at home.
The research sheds light on that. We hear about absent fathers, mothers struggling with PTSD,
Right.
families grappling with financial instability, and just the immense weight of responsibility that these students feel to support their loved ones.
It's heartbreaking to imagine that added burden that they carry,
Yeah.
navigating not just the typical pressures of college life, but also the emotional and often financial needs of their families.
Exactly, and yet they exhibit this incredible resilience.
Hmm.
They find ways to balance their personal aspirations with their familial obligations. They persevere despite these incredibly difficult circumstances.
Mhm. Their stories are a testament to the strength of the human spirit,
Yeah, yeah.
but also a stark reminder that resilience shouldn't be mistaken for invincibility.
Right.
You know, these students need support, they need understanding, they need resources.
Absolutely. We can't simply applaud their resilience and then leave them to fend for themselves. It's our collective responsibility as a society to provide the necessary support systems.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with this question. What can we do individually and collectively to create a more just and equitable world for Cambodian American students and for all students who face similar challenges?
It's a question worth pondering, and I encourage you to seek out answers, engage in conversations, and be an advocate for change.
Hmm.
We can start by acknowledging that while individual effort is important,
Hmm.
it's not the whole story. Access to resources, mentorship, and understanding the impact of historical trauma are all critical factors in shaping a student's journey.
These stories are more than just individual journeys. They reflect our shared humanity and they challenge us to do better, to be better for ourselves and for each other. So let's keep learning, let's keep listening, and let's keep working towards a world where every student has the opportunity to reach their full potential. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive